Close your eyes and imagine that you are in your house having a nice day with your family. Everything seems normal and peaceful. Then suddenly everything changes. Your doors are shattered and destroyed. Your home is no longer yours. You and your family have to flee and leave everything behind. You don't know where to go or what to do. This is every Palestinian's worst nightmare, but unfortunately it is their current reality. And it has been for decades. This is the story of the Nakba, or the catastrophe. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we are going to talk about a very important event that happened in the early 1900s, which had a major impact on the Middle East until today. We are talking about the Nakba, or the catastrophe, which is the Arabic word used to describe the events that took place during the years between 1947 and 1949. During these few years, everything changed for the Palestinians, and until today, the effects of the Nakba are still felt by the Palestinians, as well as the neighboring countries and the entire Middle East. So let's talk about this event and how it changed the course of history. The year is 1917. The First World War had just ended, and the Middle East was under the control of the British Empire. At the time, Palestine was part of the Ottoman Empire, ruled by the Sultan. The majority of the people living in Palestine were Muslims, but there were also Christians and Jews living together. However, something was happening behind closed doors. The British were promising the Jews around the world that they would help them establish their state in Palestine, even though there were already people living there. In 1917, Britain issued the Balfour Declaration, which stated that they would support the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine. To the Palestinians, this declaration meant nothing. They did not even know about it, because it was written in English, and they did not speak English. Furthermore, the declaration was published in a British newspaper, which most Palestinians did not read. However, what the declaration did was set the stage for what was about to come. As soon as the ink was dry on the declaration, things started to change. More and more Jews from all over the world started moving to Palestine. They were welcomed by the British, who were in control of the region at the time. The Jewish immigrants settled in Palestine and started building villages. However, this was not welcomed by the Palestinians, who felt that the land was theirs and that the Jews were only guests in their country. The tensions continued to grow. Soon, the Jewish settlements were surrounded by angry Palestinians who wanted them gone. Clashes broke out between the two groups. The situation became so bad that in 1929, a group of Jews attacked a mosque in Jerusalem. This led to a full-scale riot in which hundreds of Palestinians were killed. But it was not until 1947 that the situation really exploded. In that year, the United Nations proposed a plan to divide Palestine into two separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. The Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but the Palestinians rejected it. How could the majority accept losing more than half of their land to a small minority that had only arrived a few decades earlier? In 1948, Israel declared its independence. Immediately, neighboring Arab countries went to war against them. The Israeli army was better equipped and trained, and they were able to defeat the Arabs. As the Israeli army advanced, they expelled the Palestinians from their homes. Many Palestinians fled to neighboring countries such as Lebanon, Jordan, Syria, and Egypt. Over 750,000 Palestinians were either forced out of their homes or fled during the war. By 1949, the war was over and Israel had won. The Palestinians had nowhere to return to because their homes had been destroyed. Those who remained in their homes were now living under Israeli occupation. The Palestinians call this period Al-Nakba, or the catastrophe. During the Nakba, thousands of Palestinian villages were completely destroyed. Families were torn apart and millions of Palestinians became refugees. The Nakba did not end there. From 1948 until today, there have been many wars, uprisings, sieges, and failed peace talks between Israel and Palestine. Millions of Palestinians are still living in refugee camps today, waiting to return to their homes. The Nakba is not just a word, It is a feeling. It is the feeling of losing everything that you have ever known and loved. It is the feeling of being forced to leave your home and wander in the desert with nothing but the clothes on your back. It is the feeling of watching your family and friends die of hunger and thirst. It is the feeling of burying your hopes and dreams for the future. The Nakba is a feeling that no one should ever have to experience. However, the Nakba is not only about the Palestinians, it is also about the Israelis. Since the establishment of Israel in 1948, the country has been in a constant state of war. Israelis live in fear of being attacked by their neighbors. They, too, have lost loved ones in the conflict. They, too, have had to make difficult decisions in order to protect their country. For nearly 75 years, the Israeli occupation has been going on. What started as a temporary measure has now become a permanent fixture of life in the West Bank. Palestinians living under occupation face a number of restrictions that are designed to keep them from exercising their freedom of movement. They are not allowed to travel freely within the West Bank or enter Israel without a permit. They must also obtain Israeli permission before leaving the territory. These restrictions make it difficult for Palestinians to visit family members, attend school or work in Israel, or receive medical treatment. In addition to these restrictions, Palestinians living under Israeli occupation also face military checkpoints, roadblocks, and physical barriers such as the security fence. These obstacles make everyday tasks, such as commuting to work or running errands, a dangerous and time-consuming challenge. Palestinians living under Israeli occupation also face discrimination in areas such as housing, employment, and access to resources. For example, Palestinians are often denied the right to own or rent property in certain areas. They are also often excluded from government services and decision-making processes. So why does the Israeli occupation continue? There are a number of reasons. One is that Israel believes that it needs to occupy Palestinian territory in order to protect itself from its enemies. Another reason is that Israel has been unable to reach a lasting peace agreement with the Palestinians. And finally, the international community has been unable to put pressure on Israel to end the occupation. But despite all of these challenges, the Palestinian people have not given up hope. They continue to resist Israeli occupation through various means, including protests, civil disobedience, and armed resistance. The Palestinians are determined to win back their freedom and independence. They will not rest until they have achieved their goal. In 1948, when Israel was established, the United Nations proposed a plan to partition Palestine into two separate states, one Jewish and one Arab. The Jewish leaders accepted the plan, but the Palestinians rejected it. How could the majority accept losing more than half of their land to a small minority that had only arrived a few decades earlier? Since the establishment of Israel, the country has been in a constant state of war. Israelis live in fear of being attacked by their neighbors. They, too, have lost loved ones in the conflict. They, too, have had to make difficult decisions in order to protect their country. The Nakba is a tragedy for both Israelis and Palestinians. It is a tragedy that has lasted for nearly 75 years. It is a tragedy that has resulted in the deaths of thousands of people. It is a tragedy that has created generations of hatred and bitterness. But it is also a tragedy that can be overcome. The Israelis and Palestinians need to find a way to forgive each other and to live together in peace. They need to find a way to end the cycle of violence and hatred that has been going on for far too long. The world is watching. It is time for the Israelis and Palestinians to make peace. What are your thoughts on the Nakba? What do you think the future holds for Israel and Palestine? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and share it with your friends. Thank you for watching. Until next time.